Hi everybody, this is Christy. I am the Intimate Warrior. I thank you so much for stopping by, and as always, I send you love. I believe I wanted to make my follow-up video for the Aquarian portal, and I'm going to just put a little bit briefly into it, but please keep in mind that everything that I do talk about tends to work with the energies, no matter whatever I'm talking about, it still goes with the energies. I just don't tend to label it, and I really don't even know what I'm going to label this video as. But I wanted to really get this video to you, and I wanted to a couple of days ago, but just things didn't work out as I had really wanted. And so I wanted to also incorporate parts of my experiences within this video today. But before I begin, I wanted to go to Aquarius. Again, we are in the Aquarius season. Aquarius, simply put, is to be born of water and spirit. Water and air, or translated to water and spirit. And so isn't that what Jesus said, that we must be reborn or born of water and spirit? So I have been having lots of experiences. Although for the major, I'm going to just use 5 weeks, not really going back into my notes. The 5 weeks that I was really needed here for my mother-in-law through her transition back home into a spirit form, and the week after, a little bit, or a few days after her passing, or that transition back to home in spirit, I really didn't have lots going on. I was still going through my ascension cycle, yes, but the inner dialogue or the visions that I usually receive kind of stopped. I didn't get progress reports. I like to call them progress reports, I guess, of where I currently am. We have a beautiful, beautiful God who works through us at all times and knows when we need to be. And we really need to focus on, sometimes we really need to focus on being present within the moments that we are given here on this planet. These moments that we are given here on this planet provide us with major life lessons that help us to transition or to move forward in our ascension process. So when you get to those times of just feeling, I don't feel your presence any longer, please be patient. It is a time where you really need to learn something prior to spirit coming back and giving you a little heads up or a little celebration. And so after that, week of after the passing of my mother-in-law and her transition back home, I began to almost instantly pick up on messages. But I just haven't had the time, of course, to make videos still. And timing is always important, very significant, and God is always going to be guiding you at when it is going to be the right time. Yesterday I had more time for myself to do anything that I wanted to do. I chose rest. Rest has not been given to me in a long time. And so, I didn't sleep all day long. I didn't do any of that. I just did whatever I felt I needed to do, whether it was try to catch up on some reading, sit here and watch a funny movie, just lay here silently for an hour, which is something that I did. I connected for an hour with spirit, and so I could have made a video. I could have done a lot of things. I could have exercised. I could have whatever I wanted to do, taken a hot bath. I chose certain things that I knew I needed. I haven't had true rest in a very, very long time, and I took advantage of that. So as I have already mentioned, or tried to just put a little bit of Aquarius into this video, yet it all is pertaining to Aquarius. We must be born of water and spirit. This is your clue already of what is actually taking place through Aquarius season anyway, and through this Aquarian portal. And as I mentioned in my previous video for the Aquarian portal, lots of people are calling it a manifestation portal. Which, you know, no matter what, if we believe in what we want, it's going to become so. We all know that our thoughts become things. Our vibration becomes things. Now, you might also be picking up on or realizing that lots of things that you have been thinking and speaking about are instantly taking place. I know I have. I can have a thought and things come up and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. It's already changed. The plans have already shifted into what I wanted. So now you need to make sure that you're okay with what you asked and now it's here. You must be okay with what appears. Or else you're just contradicting yourself and what you really want isn't what you thought you wanted. You have to really want what is coming to you. Otherwise, you're going to see it as, you know, something that isn't so great for you, or not a blessing, not a miracle, whatever it is you want to call it. And let's see, how can I incorporate this video? And I told you I wanted to make a really lengthy video before, and now I can't remember what the video was actually about. And so, I think it's going to still be incorporated into this video, but not precisely what I wanted to do. And let's see. And so I'm going to tell you something that I actually words I was given yesterday, or the day before yesterday. And I really haven't thought about this, and I'm probably not going to think about it. I don't know how I'm going to feel as I express this in this video. I don't know if emotions are going to come up, and what's going to take place after I make this awareness to you guys. I was told that I was nearly done. Nearly done. Good. I have no attachment to it. Nearly done. You know, I'm not actually going to think so much on those two words. Nearly done. Because, and I say this, I really want you guys to really believe in this, or to practice this, because it keeps you in your present moments. Don't think about the road ahead. Definitely don't start thinking too much about the past. You stay present. The past can bring up anxiety. It can still create those fears and stuff and unwillingness to move forward. In the future, still can also produce anxieties and everything else, because you don't really know or understand what the future holds for you. But when you learn to stay present in every single moment, you're learning presence, which means you're learning peace. You're learning to breathe properly and to stay calm, which means that you are centered in love continuously. So I know that until it's here, it's not here. However much longer I have, whether it's 2 days, 2 months, and still 2 years, you know, because one thing I do understand is that God's timing and our timing are completely different. Yet, when you are still staying within those grateful times, peaceful times, everything that comes to you, when it does finally come to you, you're like, wow, it didn't take that long. I still am so surprised that I've gotten as far as I have within the past 4 years. And I remember thinking in the beginning of my journey, when I finally got to my 1-year anniversary, I was like, wow, I have really learned so much. I have accomplished so much. So time that is a man-made concept that keeps you living within the past and the future really takes away from the great work that you do, no matter what it is that we're doing, whether we're caring for our family, whether we're working at work or having some fun. If we are focused on too much of the time, okay, I got this to do today, the schedule, or you know what, we're nearly here at this time and now it's going to be quits, you're not enjoying anything. So, but I know with that phrase, nearly done, and lots of other things that are coming into my consciousness, filling me in where many of us currently are and where I currently am. I know where I am. And yet I know that every time that I don't stay centered, that I fall back down into 3AD, that means I still have something that I need to purify myself of. So that's why I never rush the process. And so I ended up also seeing a pitcher filling with water. And that reminded me of Aquarius. Because Aquarius is often seen with this jug of water that is pouring water into something, whether it is the earth or whatever it is, another jug is being filled. And, Aquarius in itself, because of the water, and this is about the sexual waters, and this is also the water that Jesus walked upon. When Jesus was walking upon the sexual waters, Christ learned to rise above the elements of, or the thoughts and the thoughts that make you feel deprived. Okay, so it's all about desire, the needs, the judgments, fears, and all of that stuff that keep you feeling so dense and living truly within a 3D reality. Christ was able to rise above it and therefore walk upon the waters, where in time he was able to rise above the 33rd vertebrae, which means he was crucified. I saw the face of the lion, which also takes me to maybe wanting to explain the Lion's Gate we talk about so often. And now I have a greater understanding about what the Lion's Gate is. It has nothing to do with really where we go through when we talk about the Lion's Gate portal. It's much deeper than that. And I want you to understand that because of, the symbols that have always existed, whether it's symbols, numbers, all kinds of things like that, images, whatever it is that you're receiving, and even things in this reality. There's good and then there's bad. And let's use the cross. The cross. The cross can be used, is supposed to be used to help keep us living within full faith, full hope, and full love. Yet, because of how society has taught us about religion and all types of different religions, the symbol oftentimes causes us pain and limitation. And that's why even for myself, prior to my awakening, I never went to church. Of course, I didn't feel like the church was, there was something wrong with what they were teaching anyway. Although they were reading from the Bible, I knew something was off with that type of community. But anytime anybody mentioned Jesus or God, religion or this and this and that, I became very angry. And if it was a person, I would push that person away. And so that's just one example I'm giving you here. But all symbols, like the caduceus, if I'm saying that right, the eye of third eye, things like that, or I guess I should say the eye of providence, all those things, even the swastika, at one time was a Christian symbol turned into something that was used against the Jews to, create tons of pain. So, and it's still ongoing today as a form of pain and suppression. So everything has its opposite, just like light has its darkness, just like good has its bad, God has the devil, everything. When we are centered in love, we change whatever symbol it is or emotion it is into its higher emotion or higher symbol, like the crucifixion implants, like I have spoken about. You have to break those seals, the seals. And by staying centered in love, you do so. You can accomplish it and rise above the 33rd vertebrae to the crown. And if we are still centered in ego, it takes the downward spiral and stays within the darkness of the veil, but still convinces you that you have ascended when you have actually descended, and it convinces you that you are all powerful, you are, you know everything, etc. The heart and those type of people, and I know you probably come in contact with them, are those that are pressing a belief system and trying to teach you straightforward lines that you have to follow this, you have to follow this, more of that structure, or just like society is or has been in the past, and still people are trying to control more, that restriction, that more binding. And that's what the ego is. It convinces you that this is the right way because you have things written out for you to see in detail. And it makes you feel more comfortable, and it makes you feel more powerful, but in the opposite of what light is supposed to do. Powerful through light and through the heart is freedom. Power through the ego and darkness is very limiting, yet it makes you feel as if you are free. It's the illusion. It is the false self. So while I am going to change this video, speaking more about, well, let me just finish this. I've mentioned the orb in my eye, and I call it an orb. I should be calling it an object, this object, which has continuously transformed or started out as a single object or a circle, and that would go through my descension and ascension cycles. So it would go down into my eye and then go back up, down, up, where it eventually began, I think after the 3rd year, if I'm correct. It came as after the up and down cycles of 7 or 8 times of going up and down, it went from a 1 circle to 2 into 3. 3, the Holy Trinity. And now it shifted into one massive circle. And I had this hunch, some time ago, that this object, I think, is going to have to make its way. It's like the lunar cycle, or a solar eclipse. The sun, or the earth, depending on what's happening, or the moon, covers the sun, and blocks the view. You guys know what I'm trying to talk about, so just stay with me and bear with me as I am trying to still bring word into a proper expression. And so my perspective was that my orb had to make its way to the 3rd eye prior to illumination. It is nearly there, and I mean nearly there. I don't know, from the look of it, it looks like it could be just days. But, time has nothing to do with anything we're going through, or, not the time that we give from the clock, but the time we give ourselves from within through our moon cycles. And I am actually going through my moon cycle, and yes, I am still doing it. Although I have already gone through my 13 cycles and collected every single thing by last April, I still practice, which means I am still aware. It doesn't matter. I don't change anything throughout this time frame. I just know every single month this is when it actually takes place. My practice is to always be love. And by being love, I am doing what is right for my inner being. I'm doing what's right for my inner being. And in order to do what is right for your inner being, you must be thinking properly, you must be speaking properly, you must be feeling properly and acting properly. You know, what happens when we talk before we've actually thought about things? And thinking about things really means going from the heart when you're doing it properly. You hurt somebody's feelings, then you do something. Your actions are off when you speak before you think. You know, so that is an indication or a sign whether or not you are actually doing things properly in your life. Are you still afraid to speak because you're afraid to really tell about your own heart? But are you speaking out of context, or are you speaking to hurt somebody else? You know, so you really need to check yourself about that and see where you are in your process of learning to be love. All of that makes sense. That makes sense. Everything matters. Everything matters. And please, again, I ask for your compassion here as I'm still not myself yet through every single thing that I have been going through here, and of course this process of completion. Trying to complete my process. And let's go to, and before I continue on, and I might have lots of pauses here as I find my place in what I am trying to work through, and I hope to be able to hit pause in the precise moments so there's not too much lack of speech here or too many long pauses, if you will. You really have to learn source, your higher self, your purpose is requiring for you to really learn where you're at. You know, so if you are somebody who actually picks up on visuals through the third eye, inner vision, and you're just getting images and images, and you have no idea what any of this is, are you learning about things? Are you learning about your path? Are you learning about what this means to you? Have you even discerned between what you keep and what you let go of? Are you having way too many thoughts and emotions when you have these visuals? You know, so for myself, especially in the beginning, anything that I picked up on was, oh, wow, so beautiful, or, oh my gosh, so terrifying. I learned through my process that when we are trying to let go of and become detached in this 3D reality, we also must become detached from what we pick up on. Because in order to be detached, we have to be love. Loved has no judgment. It doesn't hold itself to anything. It's complete freedom. When you have complete freedom, you begin to understand fully. And this is a practice, something that you have to teach yourself to do by letting go of those thoughts and emotions first. If you can't let go of those thoughts and emotions, it's going to become more difficult for you to really understand what the true meaning of these messages are. And it might take you longer in your process, your ascension process, that is. So it was difficult in the beginning because I was fear-based, but I learned very quickly. It took lots of time off. I don't want to do this anymore because I had tons of self-doubt. I came back into faith, and it became quicker. I decided one day, you know what? I'm just going to go all in. I'm not, and whatever I see, whatever I'm getting, I'm going to trust. I'm going to trust. And I'm going to let go of whatever I am feeling about it. If it's terrifying or makes, me feel off, I am just going to let it go. I know it has nothing to do with me because I know I know the goodness of my own heart. That's how we test the spirits, though, as well. So you have to learn through what you are perceiving through your inner vision, but you also have to learn what you are perceiving through your own reality. So I'm going to talk about the eye of God. And again, it goes back to symbols. And all of these symbols have a good and a bad, like I've already mentioned. And how your heart is, or the development of your heart, or the increase in ego, is what it will turn out to be. And none of this is, of course, to frighten you. It's just about information about how I have learned in my process, and what I have, understanding of this knowledge. And so I hope it just helps you out in your path. You must let go of any thought and any emotion that is suppressing. And we all know how powerful those negative thoughts and negative emotions can be. Very powerful, but very limiting, very restricting, very binding, very, very dense. The only thing that's going to set you free is love. So try it and go all out with it. Don't be afraid. If it doesn't work today, well, then I'm just going to give up. It's not worth it. This is a testing period, and maybe you don't like the word testing period. This is to see how much you want it. And we have lots of clearing, lifetimes of clearing, not just this physical body. In the chakras, every chakra contains negativity, density. And we have to do the clearing. And that's why it feels like, oh, we're trying, but nothing's coming of it, because it hasn't cleared. Keep going. Keep going, and it shall be done. Keep the faith, stay in hope, and stay centered in love. And so when we are working through the eye of God, we are actually working through the first prism of light. And this works with my orb, or the object in my eye, and I hope to still make that video of it, and it's working out perfectly. So this transition might be taking me to it. Before I just wanted to make the video because it was part of my experience. But now it's working through what all of us, or many of us, are actually going through the energies. So it's working out beautifully. So we have to work our way back to source. We know that. We have to work our way back through the first prism of light, where creation can be witnessed. And I think I've said this in a couple of my videos, that in order for us to truly pick up within the mind of who we truly are, the heart must already have that understanding. The heart, through love, has that birthing portal. So we actually have 3 birthing portals of creation here. So it's going to be through the solar sacrum, which is in between the solar plexus and the sacral chakra. It becomes that womb where the sexual waters really are, and where the birthing of Christ is. Then the heart has to have its birthing portal, where the Christ self, through the Holy Spirit, is open and activated as well. And then the mind, the higher mind, where you are witnessing God, is also born. And again, it's a lengthy process, and all of these, everything is working together. You have so many levels, let's just use levels that work through it. So you might be getting a sign that you're here at a higher level, but then you're like, wait a minute, this is a part of a lower level, like the sacred marriage. It's going to happen, or you might have an appearance of two higher beings mingling together in that sacred union, and you might see it so many times. Well, it happens so many times on several levels, and as it gets to the higher part, you will know because you will be given another visual or sign that this is where you actually are. So, just be patient with it. You'll eventually get there, and I hope it all makes sense for you. And I hope my video here, although I am, kind of talking everywhere and all over the place, I hope it still can help you out. So the first prism of light is a reflection of the self through Shin, which is the father aspect, who sees the self as being Mem, Aleph, and Shin, which acts as the Trinity, right? As they each form the consciousness of the one prism of light, the one consciousness of light. And Mem sees and knows the self to be Mem, Shin, and Aleph, which again is a Trinity, or three, while Aleph sees and knows the self to be Aleph, Mem, and Shin. The first prism of light formed the mathematics of God of the 3 times 3 equals 9, or the 3 seeing the self as a being of 3, yet all one. As the divine light enters the first prism of light, it forms the consciousness of the Trinity as the divine spark of the threefold flame, the prime colors from which all colors emanate. As the colors leave the first prism of light, the spectrum of infinite color as consciousness expands as a 12-opal aspect of deity, which is the 12 rays, as they create and birth new expressions of color through the seed that bursts forth from the sacred heart of the seed of the sun as a new carnation through the golden rays of sunlight. And so I ended up, let me try to go back to my notes here. And so I ended up seeing kind of like a bouquet of what I called green beans, green beans, with a fairy was kind of within this bouquet. And my inner guidance was telling me that these were, the amount of them was 12. And then I ended up seeing the earth, where I was actually seeing just like if you were seeing the globe, the bottom portion of the earth was as if you could see all the continents and stuff and the ocean. But the top part of the earth was filled in all kinds of greenery. So vibrant, so full and fluffy. So since I just mentioned the 12 aspects of deity, which coordinates with the 12 rays, but this also works with the 12 cell salts that you accumulate through your 12 lunar cycles. Also, not forgetting the 13th cycle through Ophiuchus's feet, through the rising, who you become the risen one. So that's why I've mentioned this bouquet of green beans. Those are the fruits, the seeds. Those are the seeds that are now going to finally rise to create the new earth. The new earth is the 5D mind, or the higher mind, that is created through the beehive of the cerebellum and the higher mind that eventually opens up and illuminates the inner eye where you witness God. And so I just wanted to give you that part of my experience there. So this Trinity is the perfect energetic union of the Father and the Mother into the seed, and that is the sphere of full potential, the full cosmic Christ consciousness, born of the Son of all understanding. So to see and understand the self as an actual being, the self must be able to see all parts of the self and acknowledge that they are present and therefore register in the mind as being. The Father as fire, air, water, and earth, Alpha and Omega, the flow of energy that unites with the Mother of fire, air, water, and earth, of Alpha and Omega, flow of energy. And their union as divine parents produce the Son. That is the fullness of both parents. This action created the first prism of light, where each part of the Trinity sees and knows all parts of the self as one whole being, as actual and complete. And this action is the mind of God, which is focused through the crown chakra, the center of knowledge and wisdom through the third eye chakra, the center of the illumined, seeing the true being of self. The Trinity formed the first prism in the triangle of light in the mind of God, that is, the emanated through our crown and third eye chakra. Now, something I wanted to go ahead and add here is that, especially, let me see, through my 7 levels of, I forget what it's called, 7 levels of, anyway, I ended up mentioning how my crown bursted open. Your crown, of course, can burst open. And so a lot of people have an experience of, boom, almost like a bullet goes off or something, and it's freed some stuff in it. You just feel so clear, so freed. But just because that opening has taken place, it doesn't mean you're illumined. There's a difference between a crown opening and enlightenment or knowing of the true self through the God source. So this higher process creates, as I mentioned, the first prism of light. And the first prism of light creates the pyramid, which is the top of the crown. And this is the seeing of the self, or at the center of it all is going to be the eye of God. The eye of God, which forms the self. So the triangle formed of the 3 mother letters of Aleph, Mem, and Shin has a value of 20. Yod has a value of 10, and He has a value of 5. Therefore, 10 plus 5 plus 5 equals 20. The sum of the self creates 2 Yods, or 10 plus 10 equals 20. The triangle of the Yod, which is the point of divine origin, and therefore are 3 parts of the Yod, which are the Father, who acts as Shin, the Son, Aleph, and the Holy Spirit, Mem. In creating the triangle of self, the Trinity also created the reflections of the self in the second triangle. The 2 triangles are the base and the top of the first prism of light. The triangle itself forms the tetragrammaton and the 4 lower bodies of the Yahweh, or Yahweh, however you pronounce it. And the 2 triangles that form the upper and the lower ends of the first prism of light that manifest the self, as above and so as above, so below. So this creates the reflection of self, as above and so below, or the complete diamond. Now, I have seen 3 diamonds myself, united, one center of the heart, which is the acts as a sacred heart, sacred crystal heart, sacred rose heart, sacred diamond heart. There are a lot of lots of information about it. So they're all the one and the same. You have the diamond of the higher mind. You have the diamond of the lower parts of the body. But the diamond indicates that you have performed the great work as above and so below, which also is an indication of the double diamond sun body, and works through the Paladorian cell of the Christ seed. And let's see, I might just, yeah, I think I'm going to leave it as with this right now, because we're at the formation of self. It's still creating of the self, understanding who we truly are. Now, remember, our experiences are going to tell us who we truly are. Someone who is living through the ego when they are having the experience tends to overreact, tends to overthink, tends to believe that, the world has a problem, other people have the issue, and it's never an internal job, and that their actions are justified by the experience. Somebody who is learning from their experience and really seeing the self, who is learning to represent love in spirit, will see, oh my gosh, you know what, I didn't behave so properly here. I overreacted at this moment. I'm going to change this. And even if you don't have the opportunity to apologize, which I do my best to apologize, but sometimes, people you can't get a hold of people or whatever it is, but you have the ability to forgive from the inside, no matter what it is. But to take that extra step and, whether call somebody, text somebody, actually, be in front of the person and saying, you know what, I messed up. I was going through some things. I understand I'm going through some things, and I overreacted when this took place, and I took it out on you, whatever it is. You are taking an action that proves that you are loved. It's one thing to go ahead and talk about how sorry you are. It's another to prove who you are through action. And so we are still learning more about our higher self, learning more about the spirit and source, to really unify, which means that we're still working through the unification through the sacred marriage, which also at the higher mind is still working with the pituitary and pineal gland, but lots of other parts of the brain. You could be experiencing still confusion, lack of sleep. Your hormones could be all off. You could be on fire one second. You could be freezing the next. And it could be really heavy for you. It's completely different for everybody else. I have been on fire, but I have, for the most part, been, it's been pretty easy, pretty good. I'm having some experiences that are definitely teaching me about myself. Not just some. I'm having a lot of experiences that are teaching me about myself still, about who I want to be, who I truly am, not through what my past has made me out to be, bitter or afraid or resentful or judgmental. This reality is very, very tricky, and it's it has the ability to really make you believe that this is all real. We project through what we are. And when you understand that, you can kind of scratch out the experience and you shift into a higher vibration. And it takes time to really learn how to do this in order to finally realize, you know what, that was never me. It was always my problems. So I hope this video helps you guys, and please bear with me I apologize for being kind of everywhere, loopy. I'm a little excited about getting this video to you, so I didn't really have time to sit and think about things. I just kind of wung it here. I miss you all, and I know one day I'll get back to providing you with more videos on a timely manner, or whenever they come up. There will be another video, I guess, in relationship to this, giving you more of an explanation of how it all works, and I'm excited about that too. So I hope this all helps you all on your journey. Much love, health, and healing your way. This is Christy. I am bringing purpose to your life. Take care.